back to clothing, all right. I've got 2 suits. So if I was gonna fly with a lighter girl, a lighter person, I've got to dress for success. I've got to give myself that opportunity to actually fly slow enough with them. And if I'm flying with a bigger chap, then I'm going to go with a slicker suit. And I would almost say that Freefly coach wants to have, fully charged batteries and 2 suits. Those are the prerequisites, really. If you haven't got that, and we all know that fashion these days is a nice tight, slick suit, even on a heavier guy, I don't really get it. But that's what happens, all right? If you are flying with somebody and they're out of shot, that's never ever going to be their fault. That's going to be your fault for not wearing the right clothing in shot. And it might be, you could say to them, "Hey, you're really floaty. That's your fault. You're really floaty." But as the coach, that is not their fault. They're really floaty. It's the fact that you are not falling slow enough, and that's going to be your flying skills and technique and what you're wearing, and that's down to you. So there's nothing actually the student can do that you can ever turn around and say, "You did that and that was wrong, and that's why this didn't work." Because we're all trying to just sort of work through this together, get it all working together. So next on the list then, we're going to talk about the bigger way stuff. As Sel and I will verify, trying to launch a 4-way sit out the door is flipping tricky. It's a very, very tricky beast. It's like one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do sort of exit-wise. A lot of how an exit will work or not work is going to be down to all of the people's sort of flying skills and their ability to fight, to try and keep it alive on the way out. That you can't really brief in a classroom. You've just got to do it and do it and do it. And so I'll tell you that we practice the same exit a good number of times to try and get it so that it worked, and after a little while we sort of managed to make it happen. In a way, a linked sit, fly, exit in any capacity is very, very tricky. So you might almost sort of want to say to yourself, well, do we really need to bother attempting to be linked? Because it's, for the most successful part of this, if we all just get out as individuals, all at the same time, then we're all going to be in roughly the same piece of sky. We make one particular flyer our base, and we all work to that person. Everyone knows where they're going. Sometimes you have confusion. People go, I saw you guys kind of forming there, and then I saw them over there, and I kind of, and it always ends up with a load of confusion. If you've got one person with a big bright suit on, we're all going to head towards that person, then that's the key for this. Also as well, trying to be encouraging to someone who's not got a massive amount of free-fly skill and they're fairly new to FF1. There's nothing wrong with having them on the jump. It's very easy to design a jump where you've got a core skydive that's happening and people are coming to join in with it if they can get there. And if they don't get there, it doesn't matter, because everyone's paid their 21 quid for their tickets and everyone has got something out of the jump. So the person that didn't manage to get into it, their job has been to try and get into proximity with this formation, and they're using it as a point of reference. The people who have got a nice amount of experience, they might well have their own thing that's happening, which is, for argument's sake, let's build a round and then let's try and build a central dock and then build a round again, another central dock or whatever. So they're getting their money's worth, and the person that hasn't got it isn't actually affecting that. But if they do manage to get in, yeah, cool, come on in, we'll try and build a bigger round. And then you're still sort of getting something for this. I've been on a lot of big wave stuff where just like, well, I didn't achieve anything from that, didn't get anything. All I got was, mayhem and chaos around me. And we were all trying to include all these people into something, and it's not really happening because of the different skill level. And we've asked this guy who hasn't actually got the skill level, we say, yeah, you're going to come in and make this round, and you're integral to what it is we're creating. It's never really happened. So design a jump that's going to sort of cater for everybody and work for everybody, but at the same time try and include everybody. There's people like Tim and Pinks, okay? They've kind of come through their tunnel stuff, and they've come through the skydiving. They've sort of been doing stuff together. That's a really nice way of doing it. It's a really nice way of progression when you've got one person that are flying with all the time, and they're sort of similar skill level to you, and kind of, you're working on stuff together, you do jumps together, you do tunnel together. Now that might work with people like that. We also know a few people who you've actually got an incredibly light girl and a sort of relatively heavy chap, and they're trying to do the same thing. And I say it's not that it's unsuccessful, but it's certainly less successful. And things are moving forward so much slower than they would be if you had two people of similar kind of standard and weights that could fly together properly. So it's almost worth encouraging someone to get their FF1 and then saying, you know what, if you could find a free-flying partner, you're about your same kind of level, that you could just kind of work with and try and do jumps with, just initially just try and stay in proximity. Remember all your safety points, etc. Backtrack away from each other, okay, roll over, make sure you're nowhere near each other and deploy. Everything's going to be kept nice and safe while they're sort of building their skills up. And that's really where we'd like to encourage people. With FS, there's almost this notion of, okay, I can now do a two-way, so I'm going to do a four-way, and then I'm going to do a six-way, and I'm going to do an eight-way, I'm going to do a 12-way. And it just goes on and on and on. And the kudos almost comes from being part of a bigger and bigger and bigger formation. And I sort of see the challenge of that, and that's probably fairly good with FS. With Freefly, it's much better, and everyone's going to get a lot more from it. You'll learn a lot more from it if you keep it as smaller groups. And being on the flight line and someone says, oh, can I join in with your thing? Well, if you can see a way in which you're still going to be able to crack on and do your plan, because it's your 21 quid at the end of the day, and they can potentially come in and join with that, then okay. But if you can see that, we've included this person, we've now just all wasted our 20 quid because we're trying to include this person who really should be doing some more solos or be doing some two-ways with somebody, but we feel compelled to bring them in, then it's cruel to be kind, and it's better to say, oh, do you know what, we've been working on this thing just as a three-way for a few jumps. We're almost there. So, we'll jump together in the future, but right now from this jump we're gonna do our own thing. And that's going to be far more productive for you, and it'll actually be more productive for them.
What about if you include the person and they end up like what you said earlier about you're at 6,000 and they're $2,000 off, you just tell them to go away and maybe get more coaching?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so if you end up with a jump where you've got that kind of scenario, and the guy's like way above you, that puts everyone in a rubbish position, because actually you guys who are doing your thing, we've got this guy like way above us. We literally don't know what's going to happen next. You've no idea. You might even have talked about a plan of action, what do you do if you find yourself falling off your seat a few times. But it's certainly going to take the edge off your skyline if that's kind of what's happening. And yeah, when you land, there's literally nothing he could say. If three of you are down on the same level, there's nothing he can say to you that's ever going to turn around and go, because you did this, I ended up doing that. It's like, no, that's not the case, we were all together. You just fell off your seat a few times. I'm afraid you need to do more solos. You know, before you ask to become part of a group, do you not think it'd be realistic that you can hold a sit totally the whole way down and not fall off your sit? Do you think that would be a prerequisite? And if you can't, because I was saying to Guy and Darren about and you as well. I was talking about people will tell you, yes, I can hold this, I can do this, film me, I'm ready for my F1. You just film this jump of someone flopping from their belly to their back and see us all the way down. So people will tell you that they can do something, and you have to sort of give people the benefit of the doubt, because actually, probably, 1 in 5 people would just be stringing you along. And the other 4 people actually be, oh wow, you're like a sort of a hidden Freefly gem. We want to learn all of our stuff. You're like right there. Brilliant, join in. So most of the time people are telling the truth. But yeah, if you land and this guy's way above you, tell them that they just go and do a load of solos and at least be able to hold your sit the whole way down before you ask to do any more with anyone else. Because it's not fair when you spend your money on that jump. It's not fair, is it? Because you can't go back to him and say, you made us all feel nervous, we feel like we're throwing away our 21 quid each, so could we have 63 quid? Ruin our hair. That's not going to happen, is it? But you feel like saying it, you feel like, well, that was a real waste. Because you tried to include someone who's not been ready. But at the same time, we need to be inclusive, we need to be encouraging. It's the only way to sort of get people to progress with this stuff. So, in a way, that's what I'm going to, without sort of going too deeply into sort of big ways and stuff like that, I think that's about as far as I want to take that, because that's really